trying to remember exactly how this happened. I wasn't too involved in the writing of this one, actually. But I remember the conversation that came beforehand. And I don't remember whose idea it was originally.
It was yours.
It was mine?
No,
okay.
It was mine. No.
I wanted a Phil song.
Yeah, I think you as a joke or something said you wanted a Phil song. And then a few weeks later, I was like, Mango, I have an idea for a Phil song. I don't have time for this.
Right, and you told me to convince you not to write it.
I specifically told you.
And I was like, Knight, do you know me?
And you convinced me to write it. You immediately convinced me to write it. And then I wrote Forevermore.
Then you wrote Forevermore pretty much on your own. I threw a couple ideas at you back at the beginning, especially like the references to Wilbur, but you took in a very different direction than I was originally thinking.
I did. I took it in a very different direction.
The only thing I directly contributed to on the lyrics, really, was helping you rhyme all the Greek names.
I think specifically you helped me find 2 of the names.
Right. I helped you come up with names that rhymed, that fit in the chorus, and that made sense.
Yeah.
And I think they're good ones.
So I had Penelope, and I had Persephone, and then I think I was going to put in Eurydice, and then we decided we already had Eurydice and My Turn to Rise, and that would just make it more confusing. Right.
And I think pretty much the rule we've established is it's a 1-to-1 ratio. You only use one Dream SMP character per Greek mythology character.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like in this instance, you use multiple names for the same person.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll never use multiple people for the same Greek mythological figure.
Yeah, a Greek mythological figure in this album is only going to refer to one person. However, one Dream SMP character can have multiple names.
Mm-hmm. There we go. That was a little more.
Yeah, I wrote this pretty much on my own. I think I wrote it in like one sitting, except for those 2 names that you helped me with. But this one's really sweet because I wrote this one with both Phil and Kristen's characters in mind, but also Phil and Kristen.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically at the time when Kristen got sent back to America during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And they were separated for a while and everyone was sad. This is kind of influenced by that, but also this one's a little bit influenced by my relationship with my now fiance, at the time boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'd never written a love song before. And we did a lot of long distance. I don't think we were long distance at the time, but we've done a lot of that. I had a lot of experience with being a long way from the person you love. So I kind of drew on that writing this. So it doesn't have a lot of obscure lore analogies or references. It's pretty cut and dry.
You can probably go through the Greek names here since they don't appear anywhere else.
Yeah, this is the only place where these appear. So we can go ahead and break these down. Because we have 4 names. We have Phil calling Kristen Penelope, Persephone, Andromache, and Calliope. Penelope is the wife of Odysseus.
Probably the greatest wife in Greek mythology. She's awesome.
She waited 20 years for her husband to come home, spent 10 of those years evading suitors who were invading her house and trying to marry her off, all in the attempt to wait for her husband to come home, believing and hoping that he was still alive. And Odysseus is the entire time on his way. Despite all the challenges, everything that's holding him back, stopping him from coming home, he is heading towards home to get back to Penelope, who's waiting for her. And so they have the sweetest love story together.
The loyalty
of the 2 of them. So that one just sort of is the embodiment of loyalty in a relationship, devotion to one another. Persephone is sort of a dual reference. One, she's the wife of Hades, the god of death. But she, not many people know this, she is actually, in fact, a goddess of death in the Greek religion. Modern interpretations are she's a goddess of spring. That's actually incorrect. She is a goddess of death in her own right, actually an older death deity than Hades in the Greek society. So, she's a goddess of death. And Kristen, recently made actually canon, is the goddess of death. It was a headcanon for so long, and they recently finally made it canon since the albums come out. It wasn't canon before the album, or after the album came out, until a few weeks ago. So that's fun. So that's sort of a reference to Kristen being the goddess of death, but also Persephone and Hades, best divine couple. Penelope and Odysseus are the best mortal couple. Persephone and Hades is the best divine couple.
And you wouldn't think that, again, given modern portrayals. The Persephone story is really odd in modern interpretations. It's not like the ancient version at all.
If you don't know Greek society, it's very easy to misinterpret the story.
Mm-hmm. But in general, the sense is that Hades didn't actually kidnap Persephone per se. They had an arranged marriage, and Demeter pitched a fit about it. That's really what happened.
The custom in ancient Greece, you had an arranged marriage. That was just how it worked. And the husband would come to the house of the bride and carry the bride off in a chariot. That was literally a part of the wedding custom. So, Zeus gives his consent to Hades to marry Persephone. Hades comes, takes Persephone off in a chariot. It's just an arranged marriage. And then Demeter is just upset about it.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of a helicopter mom.
The thing is, Persephone actually, she gets along with Hades very well.
Yeah, in the stories, they're content. They're having a great time together. She's almost sad to leave.
Yeah. Hades actually listens to his wife,
Mm-hmm.
and not like in a manipulative way, but like everyone knows in the myths, if you go to the underworld and you're trying to get Hades to do something, you appeal to Persephone. You appeal to Persephone's heart, because if she listens to you, Hades will do it.
Mm-hmm. Because he loves her.
That's how Orpheus got Hades to agree to let Eurydice go originally, is because he appealed to Persephone.
Mm-hmm.
And Persephone convinced Hades.
Mm-hmm.
With a price, which Orpheus failed, but that's kind of how it worked. Persephone has Hades' heart.
Mm-hmm.
Not in just the sense of I want to like have her in a like controlling way, but like they're a great couple.
Yeah. And they don't cheat on each other like all the other gods do.
Right.
They're devoted to one another. They're very sweet. If you actually look in the context, they're actually one of the best couples in all of Greek mythology. Yeah. So that's number 2. Number 3, Andromache. Andromache is the wife of Hector, a prince of Troy. And she is another devoted wife. You know, she's known for not wanting Hector to go back into the battle because she can't bear to see him die. She loves him. He's all she has left because her parents and her brothers have all been killed. And so Hector is the only family she has left, and she's just clinging to him.
Mm-hmm.
And she loves him, and Hector loves her as well, and is devoted to protecting her at all costs,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he's going to fight in the war, because he's trying to protect his family. So it's just another example of a devoted wife.
Mm-hmm.
Because even after Hector dies, she refuses to marry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She refuses to marry again, because she's just that devoted to Hector's memory. And then finally, Calliope.
Calliope is one of...
Bit of an outlier.
Yeah, she's one of the 9 muses.
Mm-hmm. So this one is more of a reference to Wilbur, actually. Because Calliope is the mother of Orpheus. She's the goddess of epic, so it's another goddess, which goes back to Kristen being a goddess in canon.
Mm-hmm.
But she's the mother of Wilbur, which there's contentions over who Wilbur's canonical mother is. My headcanon is that it's Kristen.
I'm still with the smart fridge, but
I don't know what's official anymore. But the headcanon that Kristen is the mother of Wilbur and Calliope is the mother of Orpheus. And if you have Calliope as Kristen and Orpheus as Wilbur, it turns into that. So by Phil saying that Kristen is Calliope, she's the goddess mother of his son. Is sort of what that reference comes down to. And another reference to call her a goddess, which is just a great compliment for your wife, honestly.
And a muse. You're my inspiration. And then, just toss out there, I'll love you dusk till dawn.
There's the dawn again.
If you look at the art, Night draws all her own art, for those of you who didn't know. But if you look at the art in My Turn to Rise versus Forevermore, Wilbur is associated with the dawn, and Phil is associated with the dusk.
Mm-hmm. So the whole video is a sunset.
Yeah, dusk till dawn, just kind of drawing the family together there.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
Yeah. So
Even in the hard times, when your son goes insane.
this song is actually my fiance's favorite song that I've done.
I wonder why.
Actually, it's very sweet. The night we got engaged, we were camping, and so we didn't have access to Wi-Fi or internet or anything. And so we didn't have that much music with us because we did not think ahead. So we just spent part of the evening singing songs to one another.
Aw.
And he asked me to sing Forevermore for him because it was his favorite that I'd done.
Aw.
So that's a very sweet memory for me from the day we got engaged.
Aw.
I know, right? It's so sweet. Anyway.
Forevermore is a really special one. It's really the only happy and healthy relationship in this entire thing.
So true.
And it's really the only non-angsty one either. Even Precipice has a little bit of a happy ending, but there's so much angst in it along the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little, there are hints of bittersweetness.
Yeah, but it's not nearly as heavy as the other songs. We kind of considered it as the palate cleanser or the emotional break of the album. Because it comes about at the halfway point. Right after you get heavy stuff like Prometheus and Precipice. But it's right before you get the emotional storm of Beloved and Haunted and This Tragedy of Mine. So it's a good break. It's a good break right there in the middle.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Slips under the radar a little bit because it's not, as epic, so to speak.
Not as epic, and I think people like angst, and this one doesn't have that much angst, but it's just such a sweet song.
Yeah, I think it's well earned its place in the album.
Yeah.
But when I saw his face, all I could feel was all my shame. I know